What's up guys, Ghostboy here with one of 3 end of the year lists for 2022. For this end of the year list, I will be counting down my top 10 most disappointing albums of 2022. 2022 was a fantastic year for music. There were so many great albums, but there was also some albums that I was looking forward to that were just either total shit or were just, could have been better. This list, I'd say, is a solid mix of both, because there's albums on here that I kind of like, and then there's albums on here that I think are straight garbage. But, I was looking forward to all of these albums and then was just let down. But, even still, some of these actually have some of my favorite songs of the year, But, so we got this, the top 10 disappointments, and then my top 10 EPs, and then my top 25 albums of the year. Before we get into the list, I want to say that none of these albums are a 0 out of 10. They're either a 1 or above, or maybe a 0.1, but even still, none of these are 0. There's at least good aspects of each of these albums, I'll say that. But, oh boy. I'm not going to hold anything back. But, and I'll also say I'm not the best with I'm not the best with constructive criticism, so bear with me that this is my opinion. It's what I think about these albums. If you think otherwise, totally fine. It's your opinion. And yeah, let's just get into it. Before we get into the top 10 though, I want to give one dishonorable mention to an EP that actually was originally on the list, but then I just heard more albums and it was just make this albums. I'll have the EP in the honorable mention. So the dishonorable mention is Rotoscope by Spirit Box. So yeah, a lot of people jumped ship when Eternal Blue came out for some reason. But when this came out, they came back. Why? What's the appeal? This is literally Marilyn Manson. They went from Spirit Box to Marilyn Manson. That's about it. I guess it's just a little too weird for me. I guess the last song, what was it called? Hysteria or something like that? It was the third song, obviously. It's a 3-song EP. Keep the light on. That song was great. The other 2 songs just sounded like just Marilyn Manson just rip-off shit. It's like so cringe. But nonetheless, everyone liked it for some reason, but not for me at all. But now, on to the top 10. Kicking off the top 10 is Parkway Drive with Darker Still. Now, I had mixed expectations about this because I was mixed about the singles. Like, Glitch was really good, got way too much hate. The Greatest Fear I didn't really like at first, but then the main riff got to me. I kind of just took over the whole song for me, basically. But the title track was boring as shit. Listening to the album in full was something. There were a lot of kick-ass moments, like the 2 opening tracks, Ground Zero and Napalm, by far my favorite songs on the album. But half of the album just felt so bland and boring, and a good example is track number 7? Yeah, track number 7, If a God Can Bleed. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. What? That is an insult to Parkway Drive's discography. While this wasn't a total spirit crusher like some of the albums we're getting to later, it was definitely disappointing and deserving of a spot on this list. Number 9, Novelist FR, Deja Vu. I went into this album knowing nothing about it except for the fact that it's a new Novelist album, and I fucking loved their previous album, C'est La Vie. So this should have been a fun listen, right? Well, for certain moments it was. In other moments it wasn't. Want to know why? Because half of the songs aren't even songs, they're fucking interludes. They straight up pulled 1,000 Suns by Linkin Park move on their sound here, and they decided to make half the album literally be nothing. It was a pattern, man. Song, interlude. Song, interlude. Oh, what's wrong, Novelist? Can't fit more music in there? Wow. What prevents this album from going any lower on the list, though, is that the good songs on here are really fucking good. But that's it. Nothing else. Number 8 is going to get me a lot of shit, but I don't care. It's on this list for a reason. It's in the thumbnail, and that's Motionless in White scoring The End of the World. Now, here's the thing with Motionless in White. When they make a good song, it's really fucking good. But when they make a bad song, it's really fucking bad. This album is no exception to either one. It has its fair share of bangers and borderline fucking cringe. Sign of Life, Burn at Both Ends Part 2, and Cause of Death are all fantastic songs. Slaughterhouse is easily one of my favorite fucking songs of the year. Then you have We Become the Night, and like the last 4 songs in the album. Yeah, pretty cringe. Werewolf is a good song, but after watching the music video for it, it's kind of ruined for me now. Go do yourself a favor and go watch that. I dare you. It's fucking cringe. But yeah, overall a pretty solid album, but not one of the better ones I've heard this year. Coming in at number 7 is Five Finger Death Punch with Afterlife. Now, I'm sure a lot of people have this on their worst lists, and I can see why, but you know me, I love my Five Finger Death Punch, so I was disappointed by this. But yeah, this is another album that I had mixed I can't speak today. That I had mixed expectations about because of the singles. The title track was good but not great. IOU, great song. Welcome to the Circus, fucking awesome. Love that one. Times Like These, garbage. And the rest of the album was a mixed bag in my opinion. You know, you'd think having Andy James in your band would do you some justice, but here we are. Ivan's Uncleans are also starting to lose their touch. He just sounds so forced, and his lyrics really aren't helping that. And this really stuck with me. They have a song on here called Pick Up Behind You, and there's a line where he goes, I've forgotten how heavy you are. That's actually pretty good. I should sing more often. And I'm just like, what? He could have just said, I've forgotten that you are a big fat bitch, and it wouldn't have made a difference. While this isn't a terrible album in my opinion, some parts are just so cheesy and stupid. It's stupid. It goes without saying that the future for Five Finger Death Punch is not looking bright whatsoever. Number 6. This one will also get me some shit. Dayseeker, Dark Sun. This one hurts. I wanted to love this album, man. The first 4 songs in this album completely trolled me. I thought this was going to be one of my favorites of the year, but nope. The rest of the album was a total snore fest. Actually, scratch that. Crying While You're Dancing was pretty solid, but everything else, snorefest. Honestly, I don't have much to say about this album because there really isn't that much to nitpick, but it just didn't do it for me, you know? It's just, and it really makes me sad because I couldn't wait for it to drop. The singles were fire. The previous 2 albums were fucking amazing. It just didn't work for me. But I will say this was a very well-written album. You know, it had the potential, but for me, it just didn't work. It just bored me for the most part. Number 5. Magnolia Park, Baku's Revenge. Magnolia Park may very well be the cheesiest pop-punk band I have ever heard. I don't even like pop-punk that much anymore, but holy shit. Their lyrics go something like, she was my girlfriend, and I loved her. She cheated on me. How could she do that? Like, nonetheless, I was a pretty big fan of Addison Rae, and I Should Have Listened to My Friends. I think those are 2 really great songs. So I was definitely looking forward to this album. As a whole, this album just felt so weird to listen to. It's just the most cliche pop-punk bullshit I've heard in a long time. It literally feels like a pop-punk parody, but with serious emotion just taking the entire mood away. Maybe that's their goal and I'm just stupid, but regardless,
I didn't like it.
Number 4 is a debut album, actually, by a band that I saw a lot of hype around, but then fell flat for me. And that's Orphan with Porcelain. Everybody on Facebook was hyping this band up like e-girls hype up Starbucks. I saw all the hype and decided to go check them out. I already knew they were like a new deathcore beatdown band, kind of similar to like Paleface or Body Snatcher, but I never heard them, so I listened to the album, and I must say, this is some of the most boring and bland deathcore I've heard in a long time. Not to mention forgettable. There's like no riffs on here, and the guitar tone is so Black Tongue-esque. Though it's not staticky, thank God. I was not engaged until the title track, which is actually pretty fucking kick-ass song. But that's track number 9 of 10. When it takes you that long to enjoy an album, it's not a very good look. It took that long for this album to interest me. I was a pretty big fan of Strangled, so when I heard their singer's voice come in, didn't even know he was in the band actually until I listened to this. On the first track, I was pretty excited, but that excitement fell through as the song went on, and the rest is history. The lack of riffs is my main issue with this. You know, like, with a band like this, you would expect fight riffs. Like, like I said, listen to a band like Paleface, Body Snatcher, Spite, fucking, not really deathcore, but Weeping Wound. You know, those bands have fight riffs. They have memorable riffs and meaty guitar tones. This is that sound done wrong. Orphan is one of the weakest bands in the core scene right now, and that's my honest opinion. Moving on. Number 3, this is really sad. Oh boy. Number 3 is In Visions with Deadlock. This one hurts the most. I was really looking forward to this album. In Visions were such a good up-and-coming band, and they still are, okay? This is one album out of a bunch of other shit. You know, I love their previous shit. I'm honestly not sure how to describe this album other than, well, just saying it's a metalcore album that exists. I listened to this at work, like, the day it came out, and it almost prevented me from doing my work. Because it's just some boring-ass metalcore bullshit. That's pretty much it. Okay, it's a well-written album. I'll give it that. It's a well-written album that I just didn't like. What really puts this lower than Orphan is the fact that it took longer for this album to get my attention. Orphan took me 9 songs. It took me till the end of this album to find something to enjoy. And this is an 11-track album. With Orphan, it was 9 out of 10 songs. This, it was 11 out of 11 songs. Wow. Just wow. Before we start the last two, I just want to say that these two albums are true spirit crushers for me. I was looking forward to both of these albums, and they both fell so flat that my anal fell off. It's just insulting. And honestly, I have more to say about number 2 than I do number 1, so I guess I should have put this at number 1, but I just dislike this album less, so I couldn't really do that. But yeah, I had to rank them in some way, and it's like this. So number 2, Chelsea Grin, Suffer in Hell. Talk about a real snore fest. I always thought of Chelsea Grin as one of the more energetic bands in deathcore. Every album before this has mad energy that gets my blood pumping. Okay, to be fair, this album does have energy, but it's not powerful by any means. I highly recommend this album if you're having trouble sleeping. Put it on, and you'll be out cold in no time. When I tell you I almost fell asleep while listening to this album, I'm not joking. Every issue people had with the last Die Artist Murder album, I had with this album. It's boring as fuck, the black metal elements just didn't work, and it just doesn't come together very well. I'll say this though, the Isness, however you pronounce that, it's fucking fire. Love that song. But everything else just feels so weak. Even the song with Trevor Strnad just didn't catch my attention, and it makes me question, is this the last we're ever going to hear of Trevor? The world may never know. What grinds my gears even more, though, is the amount of people saying that this is their best album to date. And all I gotta say is...
What? What the fuck?
What? What? Are you yanking on my pubic hair and plucking it like a harp? You're gonna tell me that this pathetic black metal deathcore Die Artist Murder in the Acacia strain honky donkey bullshit is better than Ashes to Ashes, Evolve, Desolation of Motherfucking Eden? You are a balls! You know what? I will give it this. This album definitely lived up to its name because I was suffering in hell while listening to this pathetic excuse for an album. We're getting part 2 in March, and I hope to God it's better than this. Number 1. The most disappointing album of 2022. In my honest opinion, stick to your guns, Spectre. Where do I start with this bullshit? I listened to the album the day it came out while I was out for a nice brisk walk, and something just didn't click right. And by something, I mean pretty much everything. It's bland, It's corny. It's uninspired. It's forgettable. It was so awkward to listen to. What the fuck happened to this band? They went from melodic hardcore titans to fucking hardcore set your goals, Trunk no Captain Chunk. Stupid. Jesse's Uncleans are starting to lose their power, and his lyrics have gotten so corny. Like, we get it. The bad guys will get what they deserve. Your organs fight for you. People don't learn from their mistakes. Shut up. From what I remember, there were at least 3 songs on here I actually liked from this album. But guess what? I don't remember which songs they were because the entire album is fucking forgettable. I can't believe this is the same fucking band who wrote Diamond and The Hope Division, 2 of the best albums in modern hardcore. And this is what they become. There you have it, folks. Spectre by Stick to Your Guns is the most spirit-crushing album that came out in 2022, in my honest opinion. I don't think I've ever been more angry in a YouTube video since I did the 6 Feet Under reaction. Wow. It felt weird to do this again, actually. You know, I never really get super pissed on my videos, but wow. Those last 2 albums, man, that was some tough shit to talk about because it was just painful to acknowledge the existence that is Spectre and Suffer in Hell. But hey, you know, at least every album on my list has positives, has at least one positive. But, you know, as a whole, it didn't really work. But, yeah, you know, I got my top 10 EPs coming out probably after Christmas? I don't know. But regardless, the top 25 albums of the year will be out after Christmas. And I'll probably have a new phone by then, so, you know, I'll have better quality. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, I got 2 shows coming up. On the 15th and 16th, I'm going to 2 Christmases. It's a little, like, festival thing headlined by... Day 1's headlined by Monument of a Memory. Day 2 is headlined by Enox. Can't wait for that shit. And then the 18th, I'm going to Lorna Shore Christmas. I cannot wait for that. That's going to be tight. They're headlining the fucking Wellmont Theater. You see how these... Like, it's insane. Like, I never got to see Lorna Shore. But I know they used to play the Game Changer World back in the day. That was like when Tom Barber was in the band. And, you know, they went from playing to small spaces opening for bands that are at this point like way smaller than them, and now they're headlining the fucking Wellmont Theater. That's insane. But yeah, that's it for this video, you guys. I hope you liked it, and let me know what your most disappointing albums are, because I would love to see your shit. Talk your shit about my opinions if you want. You know, I don't give a shit. It's open to everything. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next countdown. Peace.